the entire process starts by having data sources. So you need to have like your data resources, let's say MySQL database, MongoDB, Dynamo. You can have any sort of data source. It can be even CSV files as a static file. And so the entry point to the system, entry point to the CRUD CBR system is pushing them into Elasticsearch service. So that's basically pushing cases into the case base. And then, so that's basically having that all the information that's needed to do the retrieval part. So case base will have its own data set ready. So then if we go into the sort of the functions, so there are multiple functions here, like many of them are for project management mainly. So it's for configuration and management of the CRUD CBR functionality. So I'd say the retrieval function is the high level, like the most used function here, going into like a real integration. So, and retrieval function actually connects to similarity function. So there can be many types of similarity measures, like for strings, for integers, there can be different level of like similarity measures. And then, so this entire Lambda functions and API gateway is linked with serverless framework. So that's a very good, like bind together, like they are very good at like doing things together. And then there's the Cognito authentication. So that is actually like if you need to have a very high level of like security, like authorization, authentication, you can use Cognito. If not, you can use API keys as well in that API gateway level functionality. Then in the left-hand side, what we have is the integrated application. So there will be like mobile application, web application. It can be any sort of application layer there. And then there's the CRUD dashboard, which controls the entire configuration of the system. So it will handle, okay, these are the input parameters and these are the required fields, and these are the similarity measures for each field. So for example, if it's name, we do a string and we do a equal match or something like that. So that sort of architecture is here. So if we, Damien, if we can quickly again go, like I said it very fast in a very high level manner. So if we can go with a bit slow manner, it would be good.
So basically what happens here is data gets fed in from, so let's revise what exactly this implementation is. So this is not a centrally managed or centrally hosted solution. This is supposed to be hosted by whatever client or whatever company requests this from you. So what basically happens is their data source would pump data into Elasticsearch via Logstash or maybe via some other connector. And that is basically where all the data will reside. And all these Lambda functions are actually executed via HTTP requests through the API gateway. And the main function here is actually the retrieve function and the similarity function. And what they do is they just process data from Elasticsearch based on the configs that are also stored in Elasticsearch. And later, if the client wants to, okay, he wants to improve the accuracy or he wants to tweak different aspects of the results, he can use the other functions such as retain, reuse, and revise. I guess the project functions and the config functions will only be accessed via the CRUD dashboard, I believe. And they will mostly be used only during the setup of the project. So the heart of the project is actually the retrieve and the similarity functions here, right?
Yeah. So the CBR
and all the data is actually stored in Elasticsearch as well.
Elasticsearch, yeah. So I think this implementation basically isolate the entire production system. So after it's pushed the data into the Elasticsearch, that's it. So we actually don't need any connection. Then the end user or the customer can sort of think and say, okay, we are going to integrate this into this sort of query, let's say search engine or something like that. So to match the more similar results, something very, very high level like that. So, and one of the thing is this architecture sort of has thought about the cross platform. I mean, like, let's say moving into other cloud providers because of using serverless framework mainly. So that has given the freedom to sort of move out of AWS as well if needed. Then Elasticsearch can be sort of deployed independently because it's out of the API layer here.
So here, one thing I forgot is the Elasticsearch that is being used here. Is it the AWS implementation of Elasticsearch, or
yes,
is it? Okay.
it's AWS implementation. Yeah, here.
Okay. So okay, understood. So basically, but if you, so the pros that I see here is that say you have a client who is on Google Cloud, and he says, okay, I need access to CBR. Can you guys set it up? You don't have to worry about any of the core logic. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just need to set up the API gateway endpoints, and you need to set up whatever sort of authentication that they have. You can either use something that Google Cloud uses, or you can use any of the authentication services that they use, that client uses. And then all you have to do is just deploy all the serverless functions onto Google Cloud and use whatever Elasticsearch implementation they have. And that's about it. The rest of it is all up to the client, where he configures some sort of trigger to push data into Elasticsearch.
Yeah, so we'll do like a minute of pros and cons quickly. So one of the key, like a pros I'd say here is the independentness of the entire CBR cycle, like system. So that's what I again like earlier said as well. So we can keep this entire CBR, like the project, independent, and it's very generalizable. So within few commands you can deploy like a very scalable, like a very efficient solution in very few minutes mainly. And one of the other pros I'd say is writing these functions, because it's using Lambda, like function as a service. You can write each function in different languages if needed. Like let's say, for example, Java is needed for a library, and then Python is needed for another scientific library. You can use any of that in a mix because we are using Lambda functions. So yeah, so if you can give maybe 2 or 3 pros, and then we can go into cons.
I think it's the same as you. So I think I agree with you on the pros. It's very easy. If you have a small team of developers, it's pretty easy to get this up and running. I don't think that this would, if you talk about cons, I don't think that this would actually scale to, like, say you have client applications that you have about a ton of client applications that constantly invoke these Lambda functions via the API gateway. I don't think that would scale so great because of the execution limits on AWS or on any other cloud provider. But for small, like for the use case that that this addresses, I think this is completely fine. And again, as I said before, it all depends on the scale of the service of the company or the organization, and the way that they normally do all the stuff there. So I think another great thing about this is that it can exist parallelly to whatever exists in architecture that that organization has. So this doesn't go and you are not basically asking that organization to change the existing architecture just to implement.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. Otherwise, changing their system to match this system. So this
exactly.
Yeah, I think we covered all of them. So yeah, I think
that's
we are
it,
fully.
yes.
Yeah, so we did a full roundup in a very few minutes. All right then. So I think we are done for the chat.
This topic. Yes, I think that's it for this topic.